stream. Okay. Broadcast is going, stream is going. Let me get back to this. We go. Should turn itself on in just a moment. There it is. Excellent. And I'm going to host it. Lots to do.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to tweet this out. Cool. Done. All right. So, hey, folks, if you're listening, this is the live version of the show, and all the errors and flubs and so forth left intact, and then the final edited version will be released as a podcast probably tomorrow. And here we go. So, all right. So, Dr. Swoter, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. And everyone's Audacity is rolling?
Indeed.
Yep.
I know yours is, Fee, because you mentioned it. Okay. I'll get going here, and I'll get some water, and I'll go in 5.
Oh, you have a Baja Fresh cup.
Yeah, well, they're the only restaurants anymore that, like, have, like, the real plastic cups that you can get a hold of.
Do they still have Baja Fresh out there?
Yeah.
Let's get out there.
All right, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it. This is episode 339, being recorded on Thursday, August 2nd, 2018. I'm your host, Jill, with our co-host, Dr. Swotor. Hey, Dr. Swotor.
Hi, Chill. Hi, everyone.
And our guest today is the second of the 2 new guild emissaries, Fiona. Hey, Fee, how's it going?
Hello. Going well.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. I can't wait to hear about the guild. Go ahead and let us know about your week. And I guess at this point, we're going to put your guild information here at the top of the show, and then we may or may not make it like a separate segment somewhere else. But for today, let's go ahead and do it here with your week.
All right, sounds good. This week, I have been changing jobs. I played a little bit Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have a new character on the imp side that I made in instant 70 or instant 65, whatever it is you do. 70. Mm-hmm. Principessa Fiona. Because I love the movie Lovey Bell. I don't remember what it is. It's the Italian movie about the Holocaust. It's a very good movie. Anyway, I can't even remember the name. That's how much I like it. Anyway, he
is that
runs
Life
around.
Is Beautiful?
Life is Beautiful. That's it. When he runs around calling her Principessa, I think it's adorable. So, because he doesn't know her name. Anyway, and I'm Princess Fiona anyway on the imp side. So I've been playing her and just kind of getting used to imp side controls of a smuggler, scoundrel healer, so operative healer. So that's been fun. We ran with you. We got to run TFB. And just doing conquest stuff. A lot of conquest stuff. We ran Gree, things like that. Killed the world bosses a couple times, I think, on Inlo. So that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. And I wanted to give like a reintroduction to the Utini guilds tonight, because some people may not even know that there are guilds kind of co-associated with the OotiniCast. So we are on the Satil Shan server that you are on, and you want to play with us, pop on in /cjoin Utini, and you can say stuff in that channel and we'll see you, most of us. You can join us by telling us who the hosts and the co-hosts are. That would be Chill and Dr. Skotor, in case you're wondering. We've had people say, I know who they used to be. the last couple of weeks. So
Right.
that's been
And that's
fun.
reasonable.
Yeah, that works too.
But what about me?
Well, I know, right?
I have to be
Gotta-
louder on social media.
Louder, more social media. Yeah, so definitely, if you want to run with us, we would love to have you. If you're listening to this, you are invited to join us, especially Friday nights when we do the Jar Jar Joyride. That's our group that starts forming at 7:30 Central. Anyone on Satil Sham can join us. And it's just a casual raid group. At one point in time, Deck and I did not run any group content. And we
Right.
had these really great guys. Like, we decided you have to do it. We have to see this Malgus flashpoint on Ilum. And so we had these two guys, and one of them was like, oh, we need a tank here. Let me just swap gear. And we were like, well, you're going to what? And he blew our minds, and they were so helpful. And that basically made us think maybe group content would be okay. And it also made us both believe that we someday wanted to help other people who didn't know what they were doing either. So
Yeah, and now you're just completely absorbed by rating now.
I know, isn't that weird? It's so strange. But along those lines, we definitely want to help you out. If you're afraid to raid, which was me, don't be. Like, join the Jar Jar. We will walk you through it. Just let us know you don't know where you're. If we're using words you don't know, just say something. Honestly, we've all been there. It's not a big deal. But a lot of you probably know what you're doing, and we just have fun and be silly during the Jar Jar Joyride as well. So that's your Friday night option with us for the Jar Jar Joyride. Yeah. So on the server we have the Knights on the pub side, we have Rage on the Imp side, and we'd love to have you join us at any point in time. So /C join Utini. If you want to join the guild, say, hey guys, looking to join the guild, and then we'll ask you a couple questions like, hey, who are the hosts? I already told you that. And maybe a question about Nick Cage. Keep it in mind. So yeah, that's about the story of that. What we've been doing lately, which is absolutely crazy to me, is Conquest. Because I think none of us did Conquest about 6 months ago. And then they changed it, and we were all like, Conquest! And so it's been this super fun competition between everyone in the guild. And, it's been fun to run group content doing that as well. Like, hey,
Right.
we need the world bosses. Have you done them? No. Okay, let's go do them again. Just to get the
And
guild more points.
Yeah, and you guys have been knocking it out of the park. I mean, I
Yeah.
put through a few points every week, but you guys are like putting us on the
they're
top
crazy.
10 lists and stuff like that. It's like nuts.
It'd be so great to get number one. Let's do it. So yeah, that's kind of what the guilds are about. And even if you don't want to join, pop into Utini and say, hi guys, listen to you on the cast, and we'll say hi. It's fun
Right?
to
Can
see
you
new
can you
people.
tell a little bit about the guild site and maybe the social media side of it?
Oh, well, I could if I knew that stuff. On Twitter,
Homework.
we are Utini Guilds, at Utini Guilds on Twitter.
Right. It used to be they used to have separate ones for Knights and Rage, but they pretty much just use the Utini Guilds
I
one
think,
now.
yeah, we're just doing guilds to cover everything at this point. What else did you ask me about? So good this is going to be edited.
The website.
Oh, the website, utiniguilds.com, right?
I believe that's right.
Jackie on? Yes, that's right.
Right.
So yeah, and please, if you want to join the guild, you join. We'll let you in as a recruit, and you can run with us and all that jazz. If you do join our site, which is engine based, the website, you will get access to all the events and information. You'll get emails and stuff like that. So
Right, and you're sort of and you are expected to eventually sign up. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't necessarily have to do it like the day you first join the
most
guild,
people
but
do.
yeah, exactly. But eventually you'll. I think you can be kicked out eventually if you don't join ever. Is that right? At least that was the rule for a while. I'm not sure if that's still being enforced.
I don't know if we do that or not.
It
I know
depends
we
if
kick
I'm
you out
at the
if you haven't
steering
played.
wheel that day.
Yeah, there you go. Depends who's playing boss. then.
Dr. Swotor, cracking the whip.
Right, you have failed me for the last time.
Yeah, we are fun, and it's really been fun to get to know people through the guild. So please join us.
I want to just
Awesome.
add something about the Jar Jar Joyride is if you are completely new to the ops or completely new to us, in my experience, as long as you're not just obnoxious, we would offer you the ability to chat with us in Discord, and that
That's
helps
true.
a lot because I have not met anyone in an Utini run that I had any issue with, and it adds so much to the experience.
Oh my gosh,
And also, if we are teaching someone and you're not in Discord, then it's like,
it's hard.
guys, we're just staring at this boss for 8 minutes. What is up? And so it's actually a much more enjoyable evening to be part of that
Right.
communal teaching moment.
Absolutely true.
Listen to me going all professor on this.
Seriously.
Yeah. Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
Professor
And
Raid Boss. But,
it might just be
I,
silent. You might think like they're angry or they're having technical difficulties. Meanwhile, they're like, they're making, fart jokes and just laughing and stuff like that. And it's like dicking around for 8 minutes. And it's like, you won't, it's much more fun to be part of that than to just wonder why the, huge long, delay before the pull.
Yeah.
right.
That is a part of being signing into the engine site and joining that part of the guild is you get access to that Discord channel and invited in as a member. If you just want to pop in and join us for a raid and you're in some other guild and you love them, we're cool with that. We're not going to try to gank you from them too terribly much. But yeah, we can give you a temporary invite as well. But you get a invite as a member when you do join the engine site. So another bonus, listening to our happy voices say silly things.
All right. Excellent. And Dr. Sotor, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been playing SWOTOR, in my opinion, a lot. Probably not as much as some people, but for me a lot, but not the way I'm used to. So if people are used to watching me stream my operations efforts and my hard mode flashpoints, I'm so sorry for all of you. I love that you support me and like hanging with me, and I'm sorry I haven't been there. So the way I've been playing, I'm still in full switching server mode. So I
And we're
still
so happy for that.
right. I still have my 23 characters on the Starforge, and I love them. And there's still a couple things I'm still involved in on that server, like I have Working Class Nerds on Sunday, which I couldn't make it. Sorry, Marcus. But so I still heal for that team one night a week, and but I have my older version of my main, and I've been talking about him throughout the last couple months, and he is, since the last time we met, Chill, he's helped fix the problem on McKeb. He's gotten in the face of the Dreadmasters. He's stopped Revan, and he's watched the Emperor suck the life out of Ziost.
Nice.
And we're one chapter away from Arkin going one-on-one with me. So I hope that sounded epic. It did in my head
Sounds
anyway.
totally epic.
So I'm halfway through that whole story period of years that BioWare gave us to work through.
I haven't heard that in a while. Thank you for saying story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it explains, 2015, 16 really well.
Yep.
That's what we had to work with. So I'm really excited. I got my Tatooine stronghold back. So my conquest percentage is 150%.
Nice.
So now I feel like and Utini switched back to the true faction for the month of August.
Oh, I forgot about that part. Yes, we did.
Yes. So now you actually get to benefit from me possibly jumping into things because I did a few things in July with my Jedi Sage, but she's just not where the gear is, and she's not finished with her story, and she'll get there, but maybe in September, because August is all about the Empire.
Yes.
And I'm probably gonna redeem Arkin. Spoilers, sorry people, that can happen. And So I've been playing a lot, but just one player stuff. I do have in mind to try and stream some master mode chapters, either alone or running with people. I've done that a little in the past, and it's fun because some of those chapters are so incredibly imbalanced that I don't even feel like having a friend and their companion with me is cheating. So I have a lot of fun doing that content once in a while. It feels sort of like when you're playing a game on a console and you haven't played it for years, so you get that injection of nostalgia. Like, I remember how I felt the first time my companion did that, and I killed this person this time. So it's a lot of fun. And on the raiding side of things, this is the thing I'm probably the most excited to kick into full gear, and we're in process of doing it. We have a new raid team that is specific to Utini Rage. It's named right now Goonies Never Say Die.
Goonies Never Say Die!
Yeah. And we need 2 more people who are willing to get involved every week. That's going to be their spot. We can fill it if something comes up, but you're dedicated to the team and you're willing to die with us a lot, because we're not going to stick with story mode for too much longer. We're gearing up some people who are interested, myself included. I'm not quite there yet where I want to start doing veteran mode operations just yet. But we're going to get there. We need 2 more people. We play Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. That's 11 Eastern. So if you are on the East Coast, that doesn't disqualify you. And we love that you have no sleep cycle. So we are aiming to do 2-hour blocks at least once a week. There is some option for trying to add more time if there's an operation that we feel really confident about, like we were almost there. And if you are interested, last week at the very end of the show, I had mentioned reach out to me, reach out to Decion, our guild master, in some form or fashion. I was thinking Twitter in my head. A lot of people talk to me there. You can message me. And if you are a member of the website, you're already in the guild, there's probably lots of communication options there. And I'm just really excited to figure out who those final 2 people are. I would like for them to be personable and not get really cranky when you die 2 times in a row, and not point fingers type of people. Because if you have been in a progression team before, you know that there can be nights where you don't beat anything new that you haven't beaten before. So you have to have patience. And I think that the group of 5 or 6 that we have going weekly now are so awesome. And I'm really excited to see what it looks like when we have our full team. Last night we did story mode explosive conflict, and it was super easy. It was one of the easiest story mode runs I've done recently.
I can't believe that. You guys are rock stars.
I
wasn't there.
We miss
he's
you,
not.
And you know, the running gag is whoever is there, if he's not the other healer with me, I just hate them all night. So
Which I enjoy
Fee,
a little.
right? So you know, you have healers surrounding you right now. Chill. How does that feel?
Awesome.
Oh, there I
protected.
went with my therapy questions in the podcast. How does that make you feel?
How's
Okay.
that feel?
So the last thing I wanted to share in terms of what I've been up to this week is I've been thinking a lot about how OotiniCast is going to keep doing the great things it's always done, talking about SWTOR and covering the game. And then if there's room to kind of modify the format and add some things and sort of enter that new phase, since we're talking without Tio. You know, Tio is spiritually still part of the show because we have the same segments, and you know, he's there. But I was thinking maybe adding some polls in between the week that allow us to explore what the community is interested in understanding about how the game works and how we work as people playing it, and sort of have a platform now to share some of the things in my dissertation that I know, or I think I know, or I've at least proven with numbers, if that makes it true. And, you know, talk about, you know, if this is part of the mechanism for where the game's going or where it's been, or how we experience when we do certain things in the game, and how different people might experience this content differently. And that's been a huge thing for me the last 3 years, like I mentioned, Kotfi and Kotet were fantastic for certain kinds of players. So
Yeah.
I think it could just be a cool thing to add in. So if anyone in the Twitch chat right now watching live, or anyone listening on the podcast has any feedback on things that they're interested in, I could start a topic list like that and then run it between, Chill, you and I can talk about it in between shows and get it going. If there's interest, I would love to consider adding something, to
Great.
be a new part of our show. But I'm really excited to be here again. Second episode as a co-host, and the game's been fun the last 2 weeks. So how about you?
All right. Well, let me do a shout out to the chat room and a bunch of people here today. Agent Iron Spider, Anu. Wow, I don't know how you pronounce that. Bananananan, I think, is how you do it. Kaz McCare, Coco Spud, Commander Root, Decaf Smurf, Deck is here, Dekion, Dr. Swotor, of course, and Floridon, Inkata 1, Jawkins, Kitty Kisses, Medulla, Mr. Dave, Naraga, Faljan, Synesthetic, Siskite, Slowcool, Sludgester, Swishy Twitchy, Starry Saber, Sinwolf69, V&K, Virgo Pros, and Marcus is here as Working Class Nerd 17. Hello, everyone. All right. So I did do the rating with the Utini Knights, and it was kind of crazy the amount of CXP I got. It was about 50 CXP levels. It was crazy.
Crazy.
Especially since they were like the early ones. I started at like level 13, I think, and I ended up over. I think it was in the low 60s. At the end of the night, I did some solo stuff too, but it was almost all of that was just crazy amounts of rating. So you get a really good amount of CXP if you raid, and like especially if it's like you're successfully getting bosses down and all that. It goes really fast. We did the Gree boss, and it was crazy. We did a lot of stuff. So it felt like my tank wasn't really going to be needed, because this is like the second time. Like it just didn't feel like Santa was going to be needed as the shadow tank. So I decided to kind of stick with the scoundrel. So I've just been working on him, and he's. It turns out I got him to level 70. He was 70 at the beginning of the night, but I'd already only gotten him through. I was like slow pacing him and doing all the stuff. So I had already only gotten through the Yavin, through Rishi and then Yavin. So I hadn't even finished like the Revan fight on him. So I got through that. I did Ziost, and now I'm partway through Kotfi. He's almost at the start of tier 2 gear, because I also took some time to do all the daily areas and get a bunch of CXP that way. And and I'm actually really enjoying him. I kind of forgot how much fun that particular spec is for me. So I'm really enjoying it. So I think I'm going to be sticking with him. And once he gets a few more levels, then he'll just be kind of ready to like roll out anytime. Like, if Jar Jar Joyride needs someone I'm on, and I can help him out, that sort of thing. I also had a really kind of a rough time though earlier this week, just a couple days ago. I don't know if it's a problem with my SSD drive. My SSD's maybe having an issue. I don't know, but anyway, I ended up having to completely reinstall SWTOR, which is never fun. But it seems to work fine now. Hopefully it won't happen again. Most of the info now is on their servers. They have all the keybinds are on their servers now. The UI information's all on their servers. So really it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. It just took some time, and then I had to change some of the individual character settings. So it was some of the UI stuff, not the UI stuff, but the UI choices and stuff like that. So it's really not a big deal. Very, very happy to be back. But I had a really rough. That was a really unfortunate stream because I was like,
Oh,
okay,
no.
guys, the SWTOR crashed again, and it was really ugly crashes too. One of them happened twice. It said SWTOR is not compatible with this version of Windows. Like, wow, okay.
It was a minute ago. That's weird.
It's been running fine on Windows 10 for a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was something ugly had happened to my poor SWTOR, and I do hope that it was just some random fluctuation and not like, my SSD slowly dying. We'll hope that that's the case, but
They
anyway.
don't die.
Yeah, let's hope not.
I have to plug my computer in. I'll be right back. I just didn't want you guys wondering where I was going.
Alrighty.
And
So
we
that'll
can
bring
edit
us
that
to the tip of the week. We have 3 tips this week, and first one is from Cass, and Cass said, "Hiya, Chill and Dr. SWTOR. Been working on upping some of my companion influence lately and discovered that the origin story companions are different in pre and post Kotfi. It has already been covered in past shows that all original companion quests and conversations should be completed prior to starting Kotfi. Boy, that's true. As those missions become unavailable after that point. What I didn't realize was that companions re-recruited post-Kotfi will no longer gain influence during conversations for any pre-Kotfi content. For example, my max level Jedi Knight has completed Kotfi and Kotet. When I ran the Esselis flashpoint last week with T7, I received no affection levels. My max level Jedi Consular, on the other hand, has not started Kotfi. When I ran the Esselis flashpoint with Kaizen, I got a nice chunk of affection points. Upon further research, according to Delphi.net Companion Gift Guide, there are also a couple of companions, Kaleo and Torian, who have different gift preferences pre- and post-Kotfi. My tip is to simply keep this in mind while planning your companion leveling. Personally, I prefer gaining influence with companions through gameplay versus gift giving as much as possible, so my plan generally looks like this. As soon as possible, feed my companion cheap companion gifts. Companion gifts suffer from diminishing returns at higher levels, whereas conversation gains do not. And boy, that's true, and that's one reason I try to hustle my companions at least to 10, maybe 15, and sometimes 20, like ASAP when I've got a new character. Pre-Kotfi, have an original story companion out for all class, planetary, and flashpoint mission conversations. Make sure that this is a companion that you would have had naturally by this point in the story progression, or else they won't have the influence triggers in the conversations. If you don't like running side missions while leveling, you can go back to them later, perhaps when that planet has a rampage conquest objective, to give your path of destruction greater purpose. Check the box to show exploration missions on your map to see all the options, but just know that not all missions give influence. Also pre-Kotfi, complete all companion quests and run some gathering missions for crafting, but save the higher rank companion gifts. Post-Kotfi, give the higher rank companion gifts, run gathering missions for crafting, and run the Star Fortress flashpoints with the bonus objective. And why spend all your time on the fleet giving gifts when you can be out exploring the galaxy? Happy questing, Cass. Thank you, Cass.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty good. I absolutely agree with that. The only thing I would add is, like, if you're on a character that's going to be important enough that you're going to go through all this trouble, then make sure you also have those bonuses for both gift giving and for story influence, because they're not that expensive and they do add up a lot.
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Second tip is from Phlox. From the Darth Malga server. Hey Chill, hope you're doing well. Here's my tip. The gearing system is a bit confusing sometimes. One thing I didn't know for a while, but it might help others as well. It works with all the top gold gear parts you get from the vendors or the command crates. So always keep all the gold parts. For example, if you have an Eternal Commander relic, but you'd prefer another type, then trade it in for unassembled components and choose a different relic from the next tier when you trade it in. This also works if you want to change DPS to healing or tank gear. This method might be especially helpful for PvPers, since they get a lot of unassembled components. Good luck out there, and greetings from Germany. Thanks, Phlox. Germany, cool. And let's see. And the third one is, I think I accidentally cut it off. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll have to add that to the show notes later. Some of you might already know this, but if you did not, this will reduce a lot of annoyance with the final fight with Revan at the end of Shadow of Revan. A couple of times in the fight, Revan will capture all of your allies around the circle at the pillars, and then start firing light and dark projectiles at everyone. And this goes on for quite some time. Around the arena, a light side orb and a dark side orb will spawn. These give a temporary buff to you that will absorb the opposite side projectile. Example, a dark side orb will absorb a light side projectile, but I recently discovered another use for the dark side orbs. If you have the dark side buff and run to one of your allies, they will be freed. Now, he's actually slightly incorrect on this, and I'll go over the differences here in a sec. After all are free, this phase of the fight will end, and I tried to do it with the light side orb, but it did not work. So what's actually happening is there is in fact a dark and a light side orb at all times. Either you have one picked up or it's on the ground somewhere. So if you lose it for any reason, then you can pick it up. There'll be another one to pick up. So the things that he's firing out, one go to every still captured ally. And if you get hit by any of those, and you have one of the buffs on, it will knock you down. It'll remove that buff. So you want to actually avoid those, because what you really want to do with those orbs is just to free everyone, because it makes this phase go faster. And so what you do is you pick up either a light side or a dark side orb, and then you look for someone, and at their feet will either be a circle indicating whether they're light or they're dark, and you run towards that color. And sort of a thematically, everyone gets captured by their opposite color. So like Lana Beniko is captured by the light side because she's a dark side Sith, and same with like Theron is the opposite. He's captured by the dark side, so on.
It's a balancing of the force.
Yeah, exactly. So what you do is you just kind of avoid those projectiles that happen very, very regularly, and you just run over your buddies, that you free them all, and then you get to the end of it. But
it goes a lot quicker when you figure that out. I remember the first time we did that, we were like, "What?"
Yeah, exactly. Because the first time when you're just sort of randomly doing stuff, it takes forever, and eventually it does time out. You will continue, but it takes a long time, and you can get it done really quickly. Actually, I had Liba with me in one of those fights, and so she was actually able to pick up those as well, which was kind of cool, and it went really fast. And I think Penn was in there for one of those fights too, and so it just went really fast because we all knew what was up, and we just ran them really quickly. So that was pretty cool. All right, and by a random allotment, the winner is Phlox from the Darth Malgus server. Congratulations, Phlox, you're a winner of a Tonfon or M8 3R droid peg code, courtesy of BioWare, and an OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And that will bring us to the holo feed, and we're going to go over the news. Not tons of news, but we'll go over what there is. Volk, I thought this was interesting. He just put out a something that says SWTOR 2019 to be the best year yet, says BioWare GM Casey Hudson. I'll put a link in the show notes. And basically, there's not a lot of details to it, but basically he goes over like a lot of sort of he goes over all the details that makes him think that the expansion is coming out in 2019. That's basically what he's coming to. The conclusion, Volk, is that this is essentially hinting that the expansion, which we already know is going to come out next year. So kind of makes sense. And there's a lot of interesting little details for it. Please feel free to read it. For me, I kind of had already come to that conclusion because I can't. If it went all the way till 2020, that's like too long. And if it was going to come out this year, they would already have let us know that, because it's a holiday. If it was going to come out for the holiday season, this is already August, so they would need to be on the hype train. So yeah, it makes sense that it's next year. But there's some nice things there, and it's nice to hear read Casey Hudson's words and see and hear him hype up SWTOR for next year. So that's cool. Yeah. Another news, 592 was going to be this week. It was bumped till next week, so it's not going to be August 7th. And they also bumped the double XP / double CXP event. It's going to start as soon as the patch drops. So that is that is all going to be at the same time, and the rest of it is basically what's going to be in 592. Well, we already kind of went over a lot of that, so I'm not going to go over too many details. They did close the PTS. They did that a few days ago. They closed off the PTS character copy as well, and Eric was really happy with all the testing that went on. Apparently they got a lot of feedback, a lot of reports, and so that was really good for them. The stronghold is going to have a PvP toggle. The new one is going to have, you can be able to turn PvP off or on for the new Rishi stronghold, which is very cool. Some of the PTSers are saying, hey, it still wasn't working, but Eric said it's an issue that only appeared in certain versions of PTS, and apparently it is working. It is going to be as part of the functionality when it drops. So very cool. One thing that they thought was going to be in 5.9.2, but it's not, and that was the tank shielding changes. There's shielding has been sort of underwhelming as a stat for quite some time. Basically, for all of PvP for SWTOR, pretty much, just because of the way it works currently. And they're changing things up so that it's much more effective in PvP. However, there's some sort of critical bug, or critical bugs, plural, is how Eric put it. So it's not going to be in 5.9.2. They're hoping for 5.9.3. So, I don't... do either of you do much PvP? I don't think you do you? I know you don't, Fee.
Not anymore, and if I did, I wouldn't be a tank.
That's true.
But
yeah,
I think that tanks do have a really good deal in PvP, from what I can tell. Just in terms of having more options to gear up and allot stats the way they want to, and experiment, and make a setup that fits the way they want to play. Whereas if, right. I'm a sorcerer primarily, so there's really only one way I can go as a healer in terms of having the right stats for PvP. That's how I feel anyway.
That's true.
But as a not PvP oriented player right now, I'm sure there's people in the chat who are pulling their hair out. Doc, why are you representing us so poorly? But I think that anytime where you can choose, I want to gear myself up like a tank, or I want to have a lot of my gear be DPS gear and I still get the benefits of being a tank, that's bizarre. Yeah. And I hope BioWare sorts that out.
Yeah.
Well, they've been trying to kill that for some time, and I don't think it's quite been successful, but they're still going at it. So I'm sure eventually they'll get there.
Well, in order to make the stat you want them to build up to matter, you also have to find a way to diminish the return of them gearing and statting up incorrectly.
Right.
And I'm sure that's the trick, is how do we penalize people who switched from their DPS spec to tank? Because I do that healer to DPS just out of nowhere. Like, that's part of my playing now. I'm sure there's lots of people who do that. So how do you get where, since you're in tank spec, you get this huge penalty to certain stats? It sounds like math to me. I'm sure they can figure it out.
It's totally math. Gaming is all math.
Yeah, it is.
But we pretend it's not.
Yeah. And are you going to be picking up the Rishi stronghold?
When I have enough credits, sure. I mean,
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a credits thing, and I love Rishi, so it'd be very cool. But I don't know if I need another stronghold. I'm terrible at decorating them. I'm just like, oh, look, a big empty place. So it's silly.
Right.
How much will it cost to get a guild version of it?
Oh, gosh. We know that. I know we know that. That's going to pop up in chat in a minute.
Yeah, chat, help us out. Okay, so Medulla tells me about 18 million credits.
Yeah, therefore I don't have enough right now.
I don't think I've ever
50
had enough.
For the guild. It's like a guild ship.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
We can just make 20 groups of 4 and go do Tatooine 7 nights in a row, and I'm sure we'll be able to unlock the stronghold and start opening some rooms.
I know there is a plan to get the stronghold for the guild. I think that is in the works. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I do this a lot, don't I? It's so surprising.
All right, let's see. And then there's a lot of like little details. they put out lists of Eric put out lists of like final PTS changes. You can go over the details. There's not a ton in there that are super important. One thing that is interesting is it looks like it won't be in 5.9.2, but they are working on it. It'll probably be in 5.9.3, and that's the ability to sort strongholds, so you can put your different stronghold at the top, which will be nice.
Yes, that would be very nice. I'm tired of going to the wrong stronghold because I think it's the one on the top still.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then there's been some talk about putting more of like a housing style area within the Rishi stronghold, which is very sort of outdoor focused and so on. And there's not really like a bedroom or like a living area sort of spot in it. And apparently Eric and the developers have really taken that one to heart. It's something that they're really looking at. It doesn't look like it will be part of it in when it drops, at least. But it's kind of interesting that that one they really hooked onto, which is kind of cool, and it makes a lot of sense because people do want it to be like their home as well as like a cool area to do stuff in. Because it is
I think that's a good call.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to put your bed out in the middle of a field. There are indoor spots in Rishi, but none of them exactly feel like like a bedroom or anything like that.
It's funny that you said that because in my Yavin stronghold, my bed is on one of the balconies because that would be awesome. Like where the waterfalls are. I'm like, yeah, we'll make my room out here by the waterfall. So I did actually do that.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Was there anything else that was interesting from the list? I think we're okay. Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah. Let me make a correction there. They actually did end up adding a living area, but it was like right at the end of the PTS. I'm not sure why it's not showing up on any of the PTS notes, but it's kind of cool that they were able to do that. That was at the very end. I'll edit the show a little bit, but yeah, so there will be a living area in the Rishi stronghold, and then they did add it like right at the last second, which is cool. All right. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. PTS, like I say, is over, and the next one's going to be dropping on next Tuesday. At least that's the plan. There's a little bit of general Star Wars news because we had the first day of filming for Episode 9, which is very cool. Yay! Yeah. And J.J. Abrams tweeted out, bittersweet starting this next chapter without Carrie, but thanks to an extraordinary cast and crew, we're ready to go. Grateful to Rian Johnson, and special thanks to George Lucas for creating this incredible world and beginning of a story which we're lucky to be a part. And then #IX. So that's the hashtag he's going to be using. There's also a picture, which is a very nice one, of one of the digital cameras they use in the foreground. And then very, very fuzzy in the background is Finn. Yeah, we know it's Finn. Yeah, it's pretty fuzzy. You wouldn't necessarily be 100% sure it was him, but Bodega also tweeted out the same picture, so we know it's him.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. And one other detail is that Disney is seeking the Star Wars rights back from TBS and TNT.
Oh my goodness!
And the reason for that, yeah, exactly.
Marathons for days.
Because what they did is they sold the rights as an 8-year deal. More recently, Disney has decided to do their own streaming service along the lines of Netflix. This is why Netflix is no longer going to have the Disney movies. In fact, I think that's phasing out pretty soon. This Disney streaming service is where you'll be able to get all the Clone Wars and Rebels and the future animated stuff and all that stuff. And it's also, they want to make it the exclusive place to get the movies as well. But they sold 8-year rights to TBS and TNT a few years back. So they're going to try to get them back. But of course, if you're going to do that, then the cable programmers are going to want compensation in some way, either money or replacement content or both. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. So I think I've always felt that the Disney streaming service is pretty aggressive anyway. I mean, having a streaming service that's only Disney stuff. Granted, Disney has a ton of stuff. I mean, they've had the Disney Channel for decades, and all the Disney movies. Beyond, not just Star Wars, of course, but well beyond that. It's also now Marvel, but also all the animated movies and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of content there, but it still feels really weird that they're doing one specifically for their own content.
I think also, though, didn't the purchase of 20th Century Fox go through recently too? So I mean, if it's a Disney streaming service, but anything Disney owns can show up on there, then we're talking a lot more than just Mickey Mouse stuff and Frozen. Like we're talking almost everything that I actually watch.
Right.
So I actually, for me, I know that it really stinks when you make a business decision and then a much better one shows up 2 weeks later and you're stuck contractually dealing with the inferior option. But for me, I don't know how many people have purchased, the 6-movie saga as a digital, like in Amazon or something. I don't know if not having episode 1 through 6 actually changes who wants to pay for this service at all.
Oh, I don't think so.
Because Clone Wars is new content, and that's where you're going to see it. And most people, I think, probably purchased, if they liked episode 7, Rogue One, 8, and eventually Solo enough to own them, they probably purchased the digital copy with the Blu-ray or something. So this service is, I'm excited for it. I hope that's apparent from what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if they don't get this deal done, I don't think they should give other companies extra stuff. I would just wait them out.
Oh, in other words, don't bother clawing it back. Just wait it out, and then just make it part of the service later on.
Yeah, I really would. But I'm not nearly the business person that makes decisions for Disney.
Right. Yeah. It probably comes down to the marketing. It's like, if they don't claw it back, then there's certain important things that they can't say. They can't say this is the exclusive place to get all Star Wars content, for instance. They can't say, all the Star Wars movies are available here online only, stuff like that. So.
Okay. That's a good point, Chill.
Yeah.
Way to bring me around on that one.
But I kind of agree that if they don't claw it back, like if TBS or TNT simply refuse to give up the rights, ultimately it probably is not like a deal breaker for the service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, DC has its own streaming service. Wow, that is aggressive.
Yeah, that's
right.
What?
That's crazy. Yeah. And then there's, what is that? I think it's specifically for anime. It's Bento something, I think. I can't remember what the name of it is. But
I could see that working.
Yeah, and that one.
I don't like
that. Makes sense because there are literally hundreds of animes. Yeah, there are hundreds and hundreds of animes, and probably tens of thousands of hours of anime animation out there. So that one I kind of get. Plus, it's like not super available, at least in the United States, like to get a lot of anime. I mean, yeah, you can get it, but it's like you kind of have to go out of your way, and like if you're looking at Netflix or something like that, it's going to have the top few famous ones, but it's not going to have anything after that. So it's kind of cool. All right. And let's see, was there anything else that we needed to talk about?
I mean, one more thing about the episode 9 announcements, and I'm not sure about this, but I think that might have been J.J. Abrams' first tweet from that account on Twitter, because when I saw it, I wasn't following him, and that blew my mind. I named my son after a character on Lost. So, like, this person has actually impacted me in a lot of ways, and then when I saw that, and I'm not even following him, I just froze yesterday. Like, how is this possible? This is an anomaly. So I think that there's a lot of really interesting things that he chose to include in that tweet. like
Yeah.
thanking Ryan Johnson and George Lucas.
Mhm.
And being that this is kind of being marketed and, just small murmurs right now, but I'm sure it's going to build and become very apparent that this is the conclusion of the Skywalker saga. I don't know if, I mean, maybe in 30 years we'll have episode 10, but I think that a lot of people at Lucasfilm are probably very excited to do movies that aren't tethered to that. And I think it's really neat to be thanking the people who have taken the most flack from our fandom
Right.
over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
One of them certainly over the last 8 months, and then the other probably very happy to sell the thing and move on. So I think
Right.
it's as a person who, not even on the same level, but just the idea that you're stepping in to do this project and being able to say something very calmly like that, I think that it would be silly for us to not think that that message is not deliberate. And I just think that positivity is a great thing in social media whenever you can share it.
That's
So
cool.
I'm excited for that picture. I'm excited for that tweet. I'm glad to see J.J. Abrams jumping into social media when some members of his cast are not able to stay in because people are terrible,
Terrible.
sometimes. And I wasn't
Don't be
planning
terrible, guys.
on getting onto that soapbox during this episode, but let's just go for it. I think that positivity, if you look back at the last 10 things you've tweeted and more than half of them are tearing people down, please, just reflect and try to figure out if the people that you're pointing those word-based fingers at really are benefiting from knowing you. And try to say the thing you're trying to say in a positive way that builds up your idea rather than tearing someone else's down. And I think J.J. Abrams is modeling a lot of that. And, I've just kind of been feeling that the last day. I didn't realize it until I started staring at this tweet for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it just... And also the announcement of the cast. I'm kind of shifting gears here, but I'm so excited that they're going to figure out some way to let Carrie Fisher remain Princess Leia and not just kill her off in a comic book and say, well, episode 9 is 15 years later. And, of course, Leia died of old age because life. I not Carrie Fisher, Leia. See, they're like almost the same person.
Right.
But I'm really excited for that because I know it's not possible, and I know they're limited by all that extra footage. But I want to see Princess Leia's story happen on screen. I really do.
Yeah.
And I understand the arguments that they shouldn't do the Tarkin treatment for her, and I'm actually on board with saying they shouldn't do that. But I'm glad they found a way.
Yeah,
Very
the
cool.
technology that they're going to use is, I think it's going to be astonishing. Because look what they did in 1979 with, I mean, what we look at now and we're like, that's so crazy. But it was like literally crazy when they did it. Like Skywalker sound and all of those things have always been so innovative and ahead of everything that I can't wait to see how they do it. And I hope that it's awesome because she deserves that. Leah and Carrie, I think, both deserve that. So.
I agree. And I did look up the J.J. Abrams account on Twitter, and it is confirmed by Twitter. It's one of those, it has a little check mark next to it. Joined October 2017, 0 following, already has 47,000 followers, and 1 tweet.
Including
were
Dr.
right then.
Sotor.
That was his first. Without a comment.
Pretty awesome. All right. Well, that's the show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Steel Sean server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes subscribing to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.
All right. I wasn't sure whether to thank you guys specifically anymore, but we'll figure that out. Usually I thank the guests, but it's like you guys are like regular now. So
Yeah.
all right. So let me go ahead and stop the stream, and I'll stop the bye. Let's see. Stop the broadcast. Take care, everyone.